So let's talk about Josh Jacobs for a second, because I think a lot of people are interested in knowing really how good of a season did he have in 2020, because he was so good as a rookie. At least statistically, his numbers did drop. He went from averaging 4.8 yards per carry to just 3.9. So what happened there? Well, there's a number of factors. Let's just jump into the film study, and let's start off with this play. I want to show this play because I want to show really what Jacobs is capable of doing when he's at his best, and I want to kind of prove that, like, listen, this is a guy who can make moves and can get around tackles, although I admit it's not necessarily quite as good as like a Christian McCaffrey or, a Saquon Barkley or someone. This one's actually a passing play. Jacobs runs out to the flat to the offense's right. And the defensive player I've circled is Lavonte David. Of course, incredible player, just won a Super Bowl, was a huge reason why Tampa Bay won a Super Bowl. So I wanted to show an example of really showing that Jacobs can beat even the best of players. Watch how Carr takes the snap. He's going to flip this over to Jacobs, and Jacobs is going to make a good move and get around Lavonte David right there. Really good job by Josh Jacobs. So I wanted to show that because, honestly, I do feel like the fact that he doesn't have too many of those types of moves, I think works against him. But there's a reason why he doesn't have a ton of those moves. His game, and what John Gruden really doesn't want him to do, would be to run away from the tackles or to stay away from his gap. Gruden wants him to run up the middle. Gruden wants him to absorb contact. He doesn't want him to be one of those guys who's running around in the backfield for 30 seconds. And because of that, you'll get plays like this, where it's going to be another rushing play. And for one thing, you see Tampa Bay clearly making an effort to stop the run right here. They have their 3-4, which is, something they did a lot less later on in the season, but they would run a good amount of 3-4, and they might be the best team at running a 3-4. They can stop the run with the best of them, which, of course, this means, 3 interior defensive linemen, 1 nose tackle, 2 defensive ends, and then you have 2 edge rushers or outside linebackers. That's going to be Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul, and then 2 middle linebackers, which is Devin White and Lavonte David. I've circled Tampa Bay's nose tackle right here, which is not Vita Vea. Vita Vea was hurt, but they have another good nose tackle, and he's going to win his matchup right here. Watch how it's going to actually be Rodney Hudson, the good center, but, winning a one-on-one matchup when you're a center going up against a nose tackle, it's a difficult thing to do. He's not quite able to pull it off right here. And if this is someone like an Aaron Jones, I think sort of Green Bay kind of wants Aaron Jones to read this and get to the outside, try to make a move, run somewhere else. I don't know if anything else is open, but that's what they want him to do. But Josh Jacobs, his job is to just run forward and to basically not allow this to be a loss of 3 or 4, make it a no gain or loss of 1, whatever, just live to see another play. That's kind of his job here. And so he does run for no gain because, again, that's his role on that play. And so now I want to show this play, because really what happens is when you are this style of offense and you have Josh Jacobs, really Jacobs can only go as far as his offensive line can go, even more so than is already expected from a typical running back offensive line situation. Like, for example, right here, this is Sam Young, who is not their starting right tackle. Their starting right tackle, of course, is Trent Brown, who is maybe the best starting right tackle in the game, but of course, being injured for most of the season severely hurt Josh Jacobs. And watch Young, and I'm just not sure exactly what he was trying to do here. He tried to get up to the second level to block Barrett, but Barrett hadn't gotten to the second level himself there. Barrett kind of faked him out, really, I think is what ended up happening. Barrett pretended as though he's dropping back, was able to then get to the inside. Smart play by Barrett, but also just a mistake, and that made things difficult for Jacobs. And I think it's fair to bring those things up, because again, once Jacobs sees that there's Shaq Barrett in open space, he just cuts forward and picks up a yard. It's only a 1-yard gain, but that's what the Raiders want him to do. It's hard for me to see these plays and say, oh, wow, Josh Jacobs isn't playing as well, because it's fine. There's not much he can do there. But when you watch his positive plays, there's no shortage of them. This one's a good one. It's going to be a running play to the right, and Carolina has 2 safeties deep. And one of the huge things that Josh Jacobs does for a team is just, you don't see 2 safety deep coverages against the Raiders too often. Why not? Because you kind of can't, since they can just do this. Jacobs is going to get the ball, and watch his burst of speed right there. You know it looks quick when it looks quick on the all-22 footage, because usually it looks slow when you watch this angle, and especially, when you're around a bunch of NFL players, seeing Josh Jacobs clearly just get to that top speed quicker than any of them and be able to pick up a double-digit gain on that play. That's what he can do. And you also sort of saw at the end him putting his head forward and picking up more yards, which there's the positive benefit of this kind of style. Basically, if you are a Josh Jacobs type that doesn't constantly get these situations where you could potentially lose 4 yards or gain 50, you're not going to have as big of a yards per carry as someone like an Aaron Jones. And I've talked about this before. There's a big difference between those two styles of rushing. It doesn't necessarily mean one's worse or one's better, but for John Gruden, he prefers the Josh Jacobs style, which is why Jacobs is such a key piece of this offense. This one's another good example. Again, it's going to be that one-on-one matchup right at the line with a center. Again, it's a difficult block to make. It is. That's what's going to happen. But watch what Jacobs is going to do. While there is immediate pressure, Jacobs is able to break the tackle and pick up some more yards, ends up picking up about 7 on that play. Again, just a really good job of running right there. And those are kind of things that kind of go noticed, kind of go unnoticed. They sometimes can really go unnoticed when it's right at the line where you don't really exactly see if you've broken a tackle or if he just got through. So for a fan who's just watching the broadcast, which is most of us when we first watch it at least, we don't really notice what Jacobs is actually doing that can allow for these big gains. The last thing I really like about Josh Jacobs is this one. What's going to happen is that it's going to be a rushing play to the right side of the screen, which is Jacobs' left, and really he wants to get into the B gap, which, you know, the B gap, if you don't know what that means, basically the A gap is in between the center and the guard, B gap in between the guard and the tackle. So that's the A gap and B gap. Pretty simple, very straightforward. So once this ball is snapped, he's clearly looking towards that B gap, but it just got cleared up pretty well. Really, the linebacker, 45 there for Denver, doing a good job of, clearing up that gap. But now the A gap on, the right A gap, which is the left side of the screen, that one's actually a lot more open. So Jacobs notices this, and he's going to go there instead. As you see, he gets through there, and that's his best attribute, is his vision. He picks up 5 yards when that play was destined for 2. Being able to do that doesn't sound like a lot. It matters a ton. It really does. 2nd down and 5 and 2nd down and 8. It's just a different dynamic, especially for the John Gruden offense, I feel like, where it's so situational football involved. So having someone who can give you better situations, that just helps. So yeah, basically, long story short, is he overrated? Hell no. No, he's not overrated. His numbers are never going to be as good as he is as a player because of the style. He is essentially a contact hitter in baseball. So he might not get the highlight reels as often, but he's still doing his role, and he does his role very well. Now, if you don't like this style and you want to see more explosive runs, I kind of agree with you, actually, but that's just, I don't think it's fair to criticize someone for doing what his coach is asking him to do at a very high level. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.